Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, the High Guy Jacobs, and today we're diving deep into a story that's been brewing in the mobile game industry. The rapid downfall of IGG's once promising title, Doomsday Last Survivor. So grab your supplies, grab your lifters, and take shelter because things are about to get a little apocalyptic. Not in the cool end of world sort of way, but in the unraveling of a game that still has what this content creator thinks is so much potential. Let's break down exactly where things are going wrong for IGG and Doomsday Last Survivors, point by point. First and foremost, we have an issue that hits close to home for every gamer. Customer support. When you put time, and this game, a heck of a lot of money into it, you expect support to have your back. Unfortunately, IGG seems to have missed the mark here. Players have reported long wait times for responses, canned copy-paste replies, and worst of all, a lack of actual solutions. When accounts are stolen, alliances are robbed, or the system just stops working during registration, support often fails to resolve the issue, leaving players frustrated and feeling ignored. Instead of reassuring their community, IGG's customer support has become a point of pain, pushing loyal fans away. With continuous lacking responses, 24-hour wait times for resolutions when time is an issue, and what appears to be a support team not truly knowledgeable of the program or systems themselves, players are often left to their own devices for some kind of clarity. When the players themselves know more about the mechanics than the developers, we start to understand the real issues plaguing this game. Next, let's talk about server stability. For a game that relies so heavily on real-time interaction, stable servers are absolutely non-negotiable, but Doomsday Last Survivors is plagued by frequent disconnects, lag spikes, and atrocious matchmaking. These server issues don't just interrupt gameplay, they often lead to lost progress, wasted resources, and even missed in-game events. The worst part, when the community does flag these problems, responses are slow and solutions are rare. This ongoing instability has shattered player trust, with many leaving simply because the game doesn't work when they need it to. Look at this most recent turn of events. Their last Genesis War experienced so much lag that they literally had to give out daily apology rewards for the condition of their servers. Not to mention their own world championships couldn't even go through one smooth event on their own private servers with their own private material. This just proves to me that the developers have given up on supporting Doomsday Last Survivors and only push new content instead of addressing the quality of life issues that we have been asking for. Not only that, but a good game needs to feel fair, challenging, and rewarding for everyone. Sadly, that's not the case here. Balance is virtually non-existent in Doomsday Last Survivor. Whether it's certain heroes being overwhelmingly overpowered, like using Ethan on every single line, matchmaking not providing a fair or balanced event, or pay-to-win mechanics skewing competitions, players are left feeling like the odds are stacked against them. Instead of offering a level playing field, unbalanced gameplay only serves to frustrate and alienate both casual and competitive players alike. This game used to be way more balanced for the average player. Things were achievable by simply grinding out the time clock and putting in the work. Now, it's $1,000 every single week for a new March skin, new must-have hero, or new device that is only achievable by spending more money. Even the world championships weren't decided by actual skill, but by who actually spent the most. So it's becoming more and more clear the only thing IGG cares about is their bottom line, which brings up our next point. Let's be honest, every developer needs to make money, but when profit is the only focus, the game and its community inevitably suffer. With Doomsday Last Survivors, it's clear that monetization is front and center. From aggressive microtransactions to paywalls that block meaningful progression, it feels like every aspect of the game has been designed to make players spend more. Events are structured around purchases, and limited time special offers consistently bombard us. This relentless focus on profit over player experiences turns what could have been a fun hobby into a massive cash grab. And we know by their releases how much money they make every quarter. So as a player who constantly spends a budgeted amount of money in this game, I will be the first one to tell you it feels like my investment is becoming worth less every day. New metrics of might, new mechanics in the game, and a consistent push for new game-breaking heroes has made Doomsday Last Survivors the most unapproachable game for free-to-play or low-spending players in the industry. Low-spending players make up the majority of the player base, and to ignore them is fundamentally degrading. Not only all of this, but we must now talk about the basics. Mobile games are famous for their daily tasks. Everything you have to log in to every single day, every single couple of hours to keep growing and keep progressing. But Doomsday Last Survivors takes it to the next level, and not in a good way. The sheer number of daily chores is overwhelming, making the game feel like a secondhand job instead of entertainment. How many red dots are we clearing every day? And with multiple accounts, how does someone expect to get the full value out of their time with all the meaningless clicks? It's unbearable. But even worse are the rewards. After slogging through task after task, players find that the rewards are lackluster or outright abysmal. This destroys motivation and makes the grind feel pointless. Instead of feeling accomplished, players are left asking themselves why they're still playing. Is it for the thrill of the game, or is it just habitual now? Feels more like an addiction than positive relationship to me. I mean, think about it. With the sheer amount of whale players, spending players who have moved down to fearless, budding, and elite brackets well outside of their might levels, simply because the rewards are not enticing enough for the competition. And they would rather feel like a big fish in a small pond, which in turn ruins the entire event. Next, we talk about things that come from the developers themselves. We do come to when the developers do provide feedback. When they do provide update notices or planned events, it always seems to come with a secondary promise of confusion. Developers often gather feedback to improve their games, but that only matters if the feedback is actually acted upon. IGG has frequently requested suggestions and ideas from their player base, promising updates and changes based on this input. Yet, time and time again, these promised improvements either never materialize or fall short of expectations. The result? Players feel ignored, and the credibility of the developers takes a massive hit. Promises without follow-through only breed resentment and skepticism. When they promise progress by a certain date, and without mention or apology, delay progress by months, it sows distrust and uncertainty. And finally, let's address one of the most critical components of any competitive game: matchmaking. In Doomsday Last Survivors, matchmaking is, in a word, atrocious. Players find themselves constantly matched against far stronger opponents, often with little chance of victory. There's no apparent balance or skill-based system in place, making every competitive mode a roll of the dice. For new players, this means getting stomped right out of the gate. For veterans, it means either super easy wins or frustrating lopsided losses. Either way, it's an experience that drives people away. When the battle rating itself is an unknown metric, with even the developers not being clear how it works, it leads to a misunderstanding in the whole community. By allowing veteran players into brand new regions where new players are supposed to be able to play and grow in peace, IGG is fostering a community that caters to the whale player. With multi-regional alliances and an incentive for the top players to invade regions for the marshal and president buffs of those regions, it creates an environment where new players cannot physically grow without the consistent threat of annihilation. This doesn't mean there isn't any fixing these issues, however. IGG makes more than enough money to afford the changes that would inevitably save this game. It simply comes down to whether we as a community will continue to support them and their bad decisions. Why should we continue to pay a company that literally tells us it will be 24 hours to any problem solution? Why should we continue to support a developer that doesn't even support itself? Without changes to the platform, I personally am forced to come to the realization that this game is dying. And I literally mean dying. I don't mean in the sense of, well, some players and the players will still be. No, I literally mean dying. So IGG, if you are listening, let's start a dialogue. Let's sit down and think about constructive ways to increase the foundations of this game so that new players and old players can enjoy the same great game that was Doomsday Last Survivors. Number 1, limit migration. Open free migration does not work in-game. Without limitations on where you are allowed to play, veteran players can invade brand new regions, brand new players, forcing them out and creating a negative experience for that entire region. There needs to be a limit on where players can play. Balance. Number 2, debuff players for playing outside of their might. You currently do it for off-limits war. Why can't we do that for other events as well? When a player of a higher might wants to participate in lower war zones, debuff those players. If a player with Apex might is playing in Elite, Fearless, or Budding, debuff those players. Create balance in your game. And lastly, the most requested, slow down the progress. Players need time to grow and progress. They need time to see their change and experience it before we are pushed into new events, before we are pushed into new heroes, or even being pushed brand new game-breaking mechanics. We're still expecting genes for beasts. That's still an expectation mechanic, but with how much chips have influenced the game, I can only assume genes will do the same. With the continuous onslaught of events, new heroes, expensive collabs, and the lacking focus of quality of life or bettering the player experience, it becomes very clear the only focus of the developers is making new revenue streams. So here's what you need to do. And here's what we need to do. Now, first off, these are all things that almost all the people I've spoken to have agreed on. Almost every player I have interviewed for Who TF Are You or Schools in Session say the same thing. Slow down. You're growing too big, too fast. At over 900 active regions and a failing infrastructure, it's obvious where the system needs help. But in order for this to work, in order for IGG to hopefully hear us, and in order for them to listen, we need to strike. So here's what I suggest. On September 9th, 2025, we strike. We stand up for one day and stop spending entirely. The community as a whole has a voice when we speak together, so let's let our money be the voice of reason. 24 hours, no one spends $1. We need to mobilize our efforts to enact real change and hopefully get the developers to listen to these simple suggestions. We need to come together to save this once wonderful game from falling into the pit of despair. Doomsday Last Survivor has all the ingredients to become a staple in the mobile gaming world, but with poor customer support, unstable servers, broken balance, profit-driven design, overwhelming chores, empty promises, and a matchmaking system that just doesn't work, IGG has turned potential into disappointment. So let's stand tall and show them that we really do care. We really do want to see this game succeed, and we really do want what is best for the community as a whole. Let's unite under one moment, under one cause, to hopefully enact some real change back to Doomsday Last Survivors. With all that being said, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you like and support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, and fill out the notification bell. And if you can, click the join button and become a member today. Remember, IGG doesn't give a shit and YouTube doesn't care very much. So if you do, become a member today. Thanks again, everyone. Love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time, stay lifted.